Joe as well. It's just insane. And then Savage and Benji on low. It's just nuts. I mean, two teams or two players are fighting with maximum shield. They have nothing in terms of protection. They're just landing shots. They're all the way out of mats, but they get the victory royale.
Man, we just love to see these things, man. Savage and Benji back at it again in perfect form. We love that.
Absolutely. I want to see exactly what Zeke, Levin, and Reese have to say about that one. Boys on the desk, what's up?
Yes, Shy, a wager. That's what I like to see. Levin, your boys are on top. The 10 Elim Victory Royale to begin the day. Qualifier number 2. They didn't make it here, qualifier 1, and they said, listen, we were just waiting. We were biding our time. We just wanted to put on a show. We wanted to make an entrance, Levin, and sure enough, they do that.
Believe. I told people to believe in these guys because Reese, they have all the chemistry in the world, right? In terms of just the understanding between them, the firepower in end games, it's a match made in heaven, and I can't wait to see how they do over the next couple games because after that, what a way to start.
Yeah, my full analysis of this team has always been, man, if they'd scrimmed, imagine the efficiency that it could have. But these guys have been playing together for so long, their chemistry is just so good. They stick together so well, they shadow each other. One player looks one way, the other player's already looking at that exact same way. Like Savage leads Benji so well, and Benji just follows that lead. And look, when they have the aim, when they have the mechanics, they pop off in endgame, exactly like we've just seen Victory Royale game number 1, 10 eliminations.
So good. And a lot of these duels, we're doing things in this game, and it's just his first game. They really should not have been able to do, right? You've got like Seti and Chapix who went down way early, right? And then still make it into the end game. But here we go, that run from Benji and Savage. My goodness. This is exactly the statement you want to have in game number 1, right? Like, this is, Boop had kind of talked about it at the very start of this just first game, momentum, right? This is giving them that momentum to get the ball rolling to ensure that they can look at one of those top 8 spots. As long as they hit that top 8, Levin, they'll be okay.
Yeah, honestly, though, Boop's going to be shaken because if these guys do this well without practice, you know, Boop's Noble's going to be in shambles. Nobody's going to want to practice if they think they can do this good. But no, honestly, you can't do this good without practice because the natural talent these guys have is unmatched, right? They've been doing it for so long. World Cup days we're talking now, right? So, I mean, they are just phenomenal. I was going to say they're in scintillating form, but, you know, that would be an understatement. You know, it's an understatement for them, though. They are so good right now. They are on point.
Absolutely, no doubt. Like, that was an incredible pop-off game 1. That's exactly what we need to see. A ton of other pop-offs that we saw there. There was a solo clutch from Janus as well. He absolutely fragged out by himself, right? We saw, obviously, Vortex ended up going down a little bit early. Janus with a single elimination at this point. This is almost at the start of the moving zone. So many players have left alive at this point, and he managed to get things going so deep by himself. That's so by this solo clutch we're watching right here alone.
Yeah, and what I've noticed this season with these solo clutches, that typically you want to stay on higher layers as a solo. If you got low ground as a solo, you are just finished. And Janus doing a great job there as well. He made sure to stay on high elevations when he was low materials and was able to pick people off one by one. He's such a phenomenal solo player as well. So even if it comes down to solo duo, he's going to be just A-okay.
I mean, he is the solo invitational champion for a reason, going all the way back to Chapter 2 Season 2.
That's a throwback.
That's right. Far back. Let's take a look at the standings really quickly before we get ready to jump into game number 2. We got to take a peek and just see how things settled after that first game. No surprise, 10 eliminations, but look across the way, right? Right below Jokes and Sky as well. 10 elims.
Yeah, look, we were telling them, make sure you don't go anywhere near Mesach and Malibuca. Clearly they listened and they've had a great game. Really interesting to see them in second, but of course, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, Reese, right? We already saw after qualifier 1, game 1's just game 1. You got to keep doing that over the next 5 or so games.
Yeah, interestingly, Kinzel Deciptos, who we saw contesting Benji and Savage, also in the top 6 right now too, so they didn't fight off spawn. Both have come to a mutual agreement, clearly in-game not to fight, which seems to have worked out well. Seti and Chapix, remember from the start of that game, we saw them not necessarily doing so good. We saw Chapix go down, Seti clutch up big time, and managing to get a top 8 on the leaderboards after losing your teammate early and getting them rebooted. Now that is capitalizing on a shambles game.
And that was worst case scenario for them in terms of shambles, right? A game starting like that was awful for them. So if they did that well, even in a game that was bad,
Well,
they had 2 launch pads, so it couldn't, it's not the worst.
You say that, right? But we did see a lot of teams struggle, right, in terms of being able to get their loot up mid-game, right? In terms of once you move away from off spawn, being able to get the resources required to have a good end game. And sure, right, launch pads will help in terms of nullifying that, but to have that kind of game is still very impressive. But not a surprise because again, these are 2 of the best players in the region, no doubt, in the world actually, no doubt.
Yeah, I love it. I love it indeed. There we go. Timer is all said and done, which means we've got to go back with Boop and Shot Wage for game number 2 of qualifier number 2.
It's all about the 2s right now, and in game 2, it's all about fixing those mistakes, right, Boop? It's all about seeing what happened in game 1. You just clashed with a brand new team. You might not be used to contesting. How do you change things to get better?
Hold on a second, Sha. I just want to call out real quick. How dare you say that I would not want Benji and Savage not to do well because of practice? How dare you? That is a violation. I'll be honest, though. Not everybody is Benji, Fishy, and Savage. Not everyone has played since World Cup. They're not going to have that sort of, chemistry. So, you still need your practice, kids. Please don't kill my server.
We'll see exactly how things roll in practice or no practice. Clement and Floki have had enough of experience, at least, at Chonkers, at just playing inside this round 3 of qualifiers. And over again, it seems as though they get right there at the precipice of greatness, of just that qual line, but then fall a little bit short. See what happens now. They're leading the lobby too. This is going to be tough.
Yeah, these early game fights at Chonkers, they are tough. They're very low material count fights. They're basically 50-50. I see a lot of teams land south and north side and splitting it, but this time Lechi not wanting to split it, and that is his demise here as he gets taken out. But Link there is very nearby, needs to be careful because, Floki needs to be careful here because Link is creeping up.
It's always this situation at Chonkers. You feel like you've done such a good job overall. You've won a big fight, and then an entire new duo comes in that's usually even more stacked, finding a little bit of more luck inside these chests, getting the weapons they need exactly, and you're going to be a little bit damaged on that fight before as well. Clement is so low. Floki has to do anything and everything he can on this defense, but they have limited materials as well. This entire game just started. You can see it on this player as well. 97 not gonna have too much to use. Gets inside one of the whiplashes that's buffed up with those tires, but doesn't really have his license right there. He's still trying to drive past these trees. Link doesn't have a tire. I think these guys are better off running.
I mean, this is what you get when you give kids a car. You do not want them to be behind the wheel of a very, very fast car there. And interesting for them to disengage in this position. I wonder if they saw something that I didn't, because if I'm looking at the map there, bottom right, I only see a team very nearby, but no one was sort of aggressing towards that spot. So not really sure. Sort of Vista game here this early on, trying to go down. You know, they have good loot. You know, you can, like I said last time, you can split the spot with 3 different teams. You can come out completely fine, so.
Definitely want that damage as well. Sometimes you find an easy third-party opportunity, and an easy third-party opportunity is just double the easy, because third-partying is what you want to do inside these modes. Nova, though, is going to try his best interpretation of starting a fight. It's not going to be received that well, though. Hardfine has to force himself to a door edit. Looks like all the edits are struggling right now. Those extra 2 seconds might have made a difference inside that shot, but Hydro's going to be there anyways.
Loot Boy Belusi. That's what
Belusi and Hydro, but the damage, it's kind of taken its toll. The shield's not there for this fight. They have to back off. They have to heal.
That was a little bit too close there with that SMG tracking there for Hardfine. I mean, those guys, they struggled for Surge last game. This time, I guess they tried to go a little bit more aggressive, but it did not work out for them, and Belusi takes them out very swiftly. But Boofink here and Bevies, they are very, very close by, and this is the issue with fighting on spawn. You do not want to have a prolonged fight, and you see bottom right the timer. This fight has been going on for about 4 minutes, right? So that gives other teams more than enough time to loot up very slowly, get the material count up, and come to third party Shio. As Bevies with this Ranger assault rifle on the high ground, it's not going to do too much damage. He does have that stinger in his inventory, but they're hiding. They don't want to show themselves yet, and I think that's a smart move, because you got to be a little bit scared of your Bevies here, because you don't want to be creeping in towards enemy builds and then just run into the face of a shotgun or something like that.
Absolutely, he has an arsenal of assault rifles right there. It's like 3 inside the inventory. Stinger SMG to pack a punch as well if he gets close, but he is looking to deal a little bit more damage before he gets rolling in. I like the fact that he's using his ammunition to kind of give himself a medium range engagement instead of being really close to the wall with the pickaxe. He has so many magazines to go through in doing this. Meanwhile, Malibuca Mustache, they're going to have a little bit of a rough time on their own. Some friction off of spawn at Camp Cuddle. Lots of different teams around them, but they seem to be handling it pretty well.
Yeah, I think this is fine for them. Oh, yeah, there you go. It is
There we
fine
go.
completely. Havix gets taken out there, and I think his teammate Smeki was taken out very early on. And this is fine for Malibuca, especially if we consider the zone here. It looks like zone does pull far bottom right. You know, those are one of the worst zones for Malibuca and Mercedes. We've seen them struggle with these far eastern zones a lot of the time. So I think they're happy to have the surge from this position. So they can just farm it out now, get the material count up, and they can put themselves in a good spot going into this mid-game.
Uh-oh.
It's all about the damage. Bevies takes a big shot himself, down to 150 HP. I like the fact that he's staying up high a little bit, denying a lot of angles. Yep. And as a result, also clearing the fact that there's no other third parties around him. He would have got shot at some point. So he can really focus on this low ground fight. They have a huge pinch with Fink here on the left side as well. And they are actually finally dealing damage. Hydro loses his shield.
Yeah, and you do really want to be careful in these early game fights. And you see, you know, they're taking that strategy of basically just spraying from far away, evaluating the situation, and kind of seeing what comes to fruition. Because you don't want to just start smacking walls all of a sudden. You don't know if these guys have very low material counts. They're going to instantly edit out onto your face and then try to pump you or run with an SMG. You know, you got to be a little bit careful here. And as he gets traded, but there we go. There comes the third party yet again. And what I said, you got to be so careful. You got to evaluate the situation, and not even in front of you, but also behind you, because people are going to be hearing those shots coming out, and they're coming in for Storm Surge as well. And Bufink here unfortunately has to run away because his teammate gets eliminated as another team tries to sneak back in, and it was Link in default, and Hydra also now disengaging. And you know, their inventory is not looking too hot.
Not at all. And even though this is kind of drastic on the side of Fink as just being a solo player, you have to realize, yeah, it's not the worst and not the, you know, absolutely disastrous situation that Hydro's in, because they've got no build whatsoever. Now, though, two players coming in, fully shielded up, full mats. This is where Fink's in a little bit of trouble.
And this is exactly why Link in default, they disengage very early on in Chonkers, right? This is the exact same reason. You saw this team try to third party that fight over there in the Butterbond split. They got eliminated by the third party. Link in default now, they realize that is such an option near Chonkers. There's so many teams around there. There's a lot of those rifts as well nearby that you can just get landed on by, so you got to be careful. As we move on to a replay here by Crawl, back yet again at the boat spawn, and I guess these guys are just committing to landing boat, which is surprisingly enough, as we have Kiko, and I mentioned them being uncom, but it looks like this time someone landed on them, and Gooden and his duo, they're taking out Kiko and Marsh very early on. Unfortunately, not a good game 2 here for them.
And you can say in all these kind
I'll be right back.
Post early game eliminations, like in between the early mid game, it's a lot more organized madness. It's a lot of just two players coming in a little bit later and ending fights in an instant. There's no more dragged out fights that Boot was talking about all the way from the early game. Now it's just people picking up the scraps from around the map, and now we'll kind of transition to that point where we'll see a lot more bases, a little bit more farming finally as people get out of their spots as well. Janice, Seti, Savage,
Savage and Benji. This zone is pretty good for them in terms of surge tags. There's a lot of mountains on this north side. There's a big body of water that can hold out on players. But, you know, they got to get out of Tilted soon enough because they're going to miss a lot of opportunities. And teams realize how hard this zone is to play. You know, this southern zone near Rocky Views, there's so many mountains. You do not want to be late here as Benji and Savage, you know, with 3 minutes left to go until the zone is closed, they're finally coming out now. So I'm not really sure how much tags they got in. And they may have gotten a few off spawn to justify this sort of late rotate out of this draw spot, but as you can see, teams are now outside of this mountain near Tilted, and they're kind of stuck down here, Shayo.
Yeah, it's kind of rough, close and personal. It's kind of funny too, because you're trying to get out and then you're tossed into these wacky situations. EU in general has been kind of wacky as well. You'd assume some people will be landing snipes, but you just saw that stat on screen. 4 pickaxe eliminations. I mean, off spawn is getting that crazy. People don't have weapons. They're going for that disrespectful swing.
Yeah, you don't really want to run a sniper. There's so much you can carry in your inventory this season. You know, you have your peppers, you have those shield case that Benji's carrying. Interesting enough, he has 2 in his inventory. You don't really see that too often, but those are great. Shayo, did you know you can throw a shield keg on a car and it works?
Really?
Drive with it. I don't know if they patched it, but I'm pretty sure they did. I mean, sometimes these cool things get patched very quickly, you know, but, you know, it used to be a thing, so maybe it's still possible to do it, but You know, I don't think you're going to be risking it in the finals here because you don't want to be testing out that thing in the final situation. You're just going to do what you know. And what Janus and Vortex do know here is aggression as they try to jump near this team of Anas and Ping. And Anas and Ping, they are the opposite of aggression, I have to say. You know, these guys have some of the lowest average eliminations in any sort of lobby, in any sort of final. And, you know, Janus and Vortex, you know, they don't know it's them, so they disengage. If they did know it was them, maybe they would want to, you know, get a piece of them, but I don't know, Shayo.
Yeah, they're kind of like the hot knife, and then you see Pink is kind of like the butter, right? But both teams are in a dark kitchen, so they're not going to be able to know exactly who is who. And luckily, no one gets sliced in half. Vortex and Janus end up prioritizing position, which is very smart. And sometimes we see that. We saw it a lot in the history of FNCS. These aggressive teams get a little bit too into that mindset and end up kind of spiraling their game, tunnel visioning on that aggression. It's really cool to see Janus and Vortex not only play so well, but know when to turn on the aggression and then turn it off and go for position.
Yeah, and that's sort of a thing that comes back to mentality, right? These guys, you know, you have something practiced. Let's say you get a coach, and your coach tells you, you need to box up in this spot, you need to go over here to get Storm Surge tags. But when you're in the moment, you're in fight or flight response mode. And basically, all that happens gets thrown out the window. You know, there's that, I don't know exactly what the saying is, something about being punched in the face, and you don't know what's happening, but, you know, that's exactly that sort of feeling. You know, you're going to be going for the aggression. That's what you know, that's what you've done before. And I guess Vortex and Janus, they're trying to do that yet again, but you know, they do have a little bit of restraint as we see Joe and Benno. They already have 2 eliminations, interesting enough, Shayo.
Yeah, they're going in. The word for that for me is frazzled. When you get frazzled, you get a little bit jostled in the brain, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know exactly what I'll be honest. I might need to open a dictionary here on the second one.
Get a lesson from 11, right? This man has like 3 dictionaries. We'll see how it goes. Although, hold up. So this is a little trick as well.
What's up here?
The threshold update. I always have a knee-jerk reaction to seeing it
it's like
below surge, but Benji and Savage, this one is solidified. 22 below.
Yeah, and that's what I said, right? They took way too long to get out of Tilted Towers. Another 22 below surge, right? Everyone that they wanted to get tags on is already rotated past them. And, you know, there's a few teams still behind them. They're waiting right outside of zone because they know that they can get most of the tags outside of zone here. But, you know, they're going to be in a tough spot. And I feel like, you know, I hate to bring up practice, but this is where experience comes back into, is that these sort of situations. You know, maybe I'm just, you know, maybe I'm just trying to push my agenda just a little bit too much.
Now we'll see how it goes. 22 above now. It seems like when it's Benji and Savage, the world just aligns for them in certain moments. And right now, it kind of has to. You see that beam from the sky. That's not a visual error at all. When you're watching things on broadcast right now, we have this thing. Whenever we're inside this big overarching drone shot, you can see exactly who's in first place. You can even see the bottom left right now. It's a new addition to this season. The team and the number beside them is actually their live leader
right now.
So after that first one, it's Benji and Savage. That's team number 1 in first place. We go to the other side of the board. Let's magnet all the way down to the South Pole. In 31st, it's Analex X-Squeeze.
Yep, 8 below here, and this was actually a decent zone for Analex and X-Squeeze, surprisingly enough, but you know, they are going to get pushed here, so that's a blessing in disguise for them. You know, you always love it when your below surge and team pushes you because, you know, you're on the back foot, but they have to run into you, so you know you're going to get guaranteed tags. Benji Savage meet on 174 above surge, managed to get it, and you did see that he utilized that shield keg, you know, to trade surge, because you're going to get a lot of surge shield back from that shield keg, so you're able to trade a lot of surge, take 50-50s, and that's a free shield and surge spot there coming out there.
Absolutely. It's all about that balance.
Who do you think's going to win?
Back home kind of looks different.
Who do you think's going to come out with the most points?
Everyone plays themselves. Why aren't people pushing boxes all the time, 24/7, just going for the fights? You don't want to risk getting damaged yourself. Savage and Benji go for a quick drop down right there, but don't find that much success. They're going to stop.
Stop pausing.
A long ways to go. I count about 10 different teams in front of them, and this is a very good personification for what it looks like for everyone. The house is burning. Everyone's about to basically catch on fire. They need to move very soon. This is not a comfortable place to be in at all. Benji is in a world of hurt.
The roof is on fire. I mean, and unfortunately, you know, it does go back out. You know, I thought we were going to see some spicy things there. You know, it is sort of, you know, it's a little bit scary sometimes when they have fire all around your base because it makes your edits also a little bit weird. Sometimes you can't edit that wall, so you got to be a little bit careful. But if you take a look at the zone here, bottom around the map, you see zone pulls far yet again. So all of those north teams, you know, the teams that did well last game, Benji and Savage, and they tilted, not a bad zone for them, but they're going to be one of the last teams to rotate too, and they don't have a car, they don't have any sort of rotates, and they have a team 5 in zone here. Not sure what they're doing here, Shia.
Might be a class down onto Andalex on Squeeze. They might be down on Surgeon looking for a few angles. They seem kind of desperate. Seems like another, you know, predator hunting its prey situation, but Andalex has basically an invisible radar on. He knows exactly what people are thinking. That's just the way he kind of plays the game. The fundamentals always just so strong in knowing what's around him, the awareness. So they find a quick pickup. They're going to keep moving.
Yep, but you know, again, the zone is tough for them. I mentioned this, the mountains, the hills. There's gonna be so many teams on this edge, and Andalex is the force to launch pad, but everyone's eyes is on them because I think that shield track came out here. Andalex is gonna get sprayed up by everyone, and he's eliminated out of the air. XQ's being a very good teammate here, trying to pick him back up. You need to run away with the Spider-Man because people are going to be jumping in, and that's exactly what's going to happen. These Stinger SMGs coming in, they're jumping, they're going through, and XQ's misses the low launch as well. He's panicking just a little bit. He gets pumped yet again, and his Spider-Man is going to reset. He's able to get past the side now, away from line of sight, but again, this team is being a bit of a nuisance here, Shayo.
He's got a few things to kind of delay a little bit of time, but they got web shooters of their own. Everyone here can beat Peter Parker today. This is going to be absolutely unfortunate for XQ's. A big shot landed down, but it's not going to be enough when you have shotguns and SMGs and everything spraying at you. They leave a launch pad behind for many teams on that south side. Up towards the north, though, Savage and Benji still at a stalemate. They're not all the way in. About 10 more meters away is paradise for them, Boop.
They're going to win.
I'm not sure if they're looking at a mirage as they go for this oasis inside the desert. Savage and Benji are just in trouble and barely even in.
Yep. I mean, this is a tough spot to be in. I mean, if you're always on the back foot, you're never going to find opportunities to get Surge either, right?
Even though they're in a bad spot.
You're going to have this tough spot, and I mean, never mind. They're just going to find a player, just give it into that box, and maybe that's a bit of that luck you mentioned before, Shayo. All of a sudden, there's just a player in Benji's box, a quick little pump to the face, and that's a quick elimination there for Benji.
I'm telling you, they're following some sort of script every time there's a tough situation. Easy random siphon available for Benji and Savage. And I kind of also want to see what some of the other teams' positions are looking like right now as well. I mean, if you look at it, there's just a crescent moon of duos waiting around. Irazumi on the right side, Rayat there too. Let's look at second place and how their journey was going as well. They're on the same side as Benji and Savage. They left slightly later. This is that burned down house, and they get eliminated. So you're talking about what Benji and Savage need to do, Boo. They have so much more space now. The second place team behind them down. You can see the light, the beam shining on them from above. It's just showing them that, hey, you've got the spotlight. You're in first. How far can you go this game?
Yeah, and consistency is the name of the game. I mean, any sort of duo, they can just come back with a very high elimination game, right? We saw Floki do this last week, you know, a 13 elimination game, I believe, put him back into the top 8 position just off of one game. So even if you are below that top 20, top 30 place, just one good game here could put you back up. So you definitely don't want to be throwing the chances where you have very good situations here. And Benji and Savage, they do get saved just a little bit here, Shayo.
Yes, they do. But on their left side, looking at them right now, Joe Vino, Irazumi and Leader as well. Two different duos that act as interrupters for a majority of teams in the season as they try to move. They try to pick you apart when you're on the move. So Savage and Benji have to be very careful. They don't have the web shooters. They don't have any aerial movement. But Savage's got the slides. He's got the moves. That was nice. 3 boxes. And the time it takes to make one. And now Benji takes the lead. Look at the dynamic switching you have in between. A Savage needs to heal. Benji picks up the building portion of the duo.
And I love that. I love seeing these new mechanics coming out of these players, you know. Always a ton of creativity coming out of there. And that slide is just going to give you that extra inch to box up and be safe. Make your hitbox a little bit smaller so people are going to have a tough time shooting at you. But look at that. Somehow they know that it's Malabuk and Mustache. And Malabuk and Mustache trades back through. You know, these were their rivals back in the last season, that Steamy Stacks. And somehow they sniffed them out. Maybe giving a little bit of revenge back on them. But, you know, they get a little bit back as well as Malabuk and Mustache get a big trade. But Texia in the meantime and Castry, double controller duo, 145 below Surge, and I'm not surprised. Maybe they should have gone to the gyro controls because this is not enough Surge tags.
Yeah, they might want to get a little bit of that aim factor in. We're looking at them right beside another box, but it's going to be a brick kill. PKR knows exactly what's going down. They back all the way up. They have so much room. Big for Texia, and he gets slapped in the face. Castery denied immediately too. That's 2 shots, 2 elims, and 2 big messages sent to that dude.
That was a good play.
I love that. You know, the perfect time.
Oh, come on. We're getting down to the best part, and it freezes again.
And they just get eliminated. You know, that's also
it froze again.
Good right before as Benji here sniffs out an opportunity, finds another good pump through, and look who has gotten 50-50 here, Shayo.
Yeah, it's Benji and Savage. They have that 5th zone. It's landed right exactly where they are, and they found another body of heals to be used as well. They keep overreaching for a little bit of damage, for a little bit of position. And
Conjure and Joe.
Of the zone is not in right now. I see a few launch pads and Spider-Man swings going on from the right side, where you can see just the left half of the word Chonker on the mini-map. A lot of people are going to be swinging and flying in. Vino, of course, is in one of the best spots of the map. He's going to keep pushing that position forward. That's exactly what you want to be doing in this situation. 2 launch pads as well.
Everyone's rotating.
You're talking about potential right now for Vino and Joe. They're both alive, Boop. It looks better than game 1, and I feel like they're about to pop off in this one.
I mean, this is just Covert Canyon loot, right? 2 launch pad, those 6 chili splashes. They have 3 big pot, 6 minis as well. It is a lot, and you know they already have 3
Everyone's on the left side of the map
last
right
game
now.
of the surge issues, and obviously Veno going down early on is now going to be a little bit saved. And looks like if Veno's trying to take a peek at high ground here, and not a single team has height, and I don't think it's the right play to go for yet because they do have those 2 launch pads. You don't want to be using those materials to go up and waste them because you're going to be launch padding anyways. It's not going to give you too much. Those those splashes, sorry, are going to be good enough to play mid ground and then launch pad afterwards. And zone pulls bottom right towards Shankar side. So luckily for the majority of this lobby, it pulls back towards that congested side. So a lot of these guys are going to have a pretty easy access through. And knowing Veno and Joe, you know, he was looking at high ground. I expect him to fully land at high ground on the front side of zone. And actually, if you take a look, you'll be seeing this in this first moving here. Everyone on that north side, they're going to be launching first. They're going to be landing. Veno and Joe, they're going to be the last team to land. And that's when they're going to have the opportunity because they're able to extend that launch pad as far as possible. And then they save themselves so many materials because everyone's already on the floor, right? Everyone's already landed. So you have 0 risk of ever getting late landed on because you're the last team to launch pad, Shayo.
Absolutely. It's also a barren
Storm
desert,
surge.
a wasteland. There's not going to be too many mountains or anything around the city of Shankar Speedway to land upon. Everything here is going to be player built. So you're absolutely correct. Leaving as late as possible will give you one of the highest points of elevation you can latch upon. Sunny Chappiks have to leave a little bit earlier because they were towards that backside. Base up, go for a few shots. They have another launch pad to leave this position as well, but they're just trying to farm as much damage as possible. Now you hear the gliders in the sky. They're popping left and right. 200 damage above for Seti and Chappiks. They're looking for a little bit of freedom towards the clouds. They find it. You can see the overview right now. Lots of mid-ground positions. One definitive team on height. Seti's looking for a little bit of a higher elevated base as well. As we look towards the other side on low ground, it's Savage and Benji. They're going to be towards the backside of the zone now, still finding trouble getting in, but the spicy splash dropped down towards the feet, making things hot. Feisty, fast, and speedy. As he moves across the cars and the dirt on the ground, they're looking pretty good.
We got 2 more zones, and then it'll really just become down to who.
I mean, he had over 0 builds then. All of a sudden, Kiryat get this nice little planning shot. Benji of a little bit of late rotations as he.
Oh my gosh.
Be very careful. Savage going to try to elevate themselves away from this spot. As we have a high gun battle, you have Pink and Anas trying to go up on top of there. And these guys, you know, they don't have the most aggressive playstyle, but when it comes to those late moving zones and zone transitions, they love to go on top of it. And they do have Spider-Mans. They do have the momentum to go back up, and they have it for free now, going to 8th moving zone pretty damn soon. And I like the easy spot for them.
Absolutely. Pink actually uses the web shooters to go forward, negate the fall damage, and then build all the way back up, reconnecting the high ground, stopping the weakness of these builds. It's absolutely genius. Past that, Trulex Chico looking for a little bit of revenge on any aggressivity happening towards the top side of this map. They're going to be looking to maybe take over height. Vino and Joe all the way down low. Don't have any launch pads left anymore. Savage actually going down in the feed, but trading Rotary, so I'm not sure where first place is. If they're still alive, they're having a little bit of trouble in Paradise.
Why?
Joe and Vino, though, they're denying everyone on this low ground towards the
Why did he
forward
drop all his mats? I'm so confused.
Floki, Hook on boxes right beside each other on the backside as well. Denied on low, it's tough to heal. Hookah wins that one. And then Pink
we got one more zone after
with an
this.
Us are still looking good to reign on high ground.
Yeah, now it is time for the big impact.
I think he's letting. I think he's the better builder. So
already
he's
with the
dropping
zone
him on the
pullback.
mats.
So it's gonna be a little bit tough because you see them on this logo, but you're gonna get smothered just a little bit. They do find the toes of some players. They find another one.
This is crazy.
There's good tags coming through. They do have those flashes, you know, to tank zone just a little bit.
All right,
and
he's got 20
go for it,
seconds,
but
and
unfortunately,
then
I think that's
final
only gonna
zone.
be Cypher materials. Yes, it is, because those players will completely scuff them backside of zone. They do have those flashes to go back up though, and you know they're making use of the inventory very well. Who's Shayo,
10 seconds.
and they still have 10 more seconds in the zone transitions.
They needed the mats. It might just be a little bit, but it gets them a little bit of more space to survive. And Vino shoots another shot again, lands a big one. Not going to get the elimination. Mappy on the backside now. He's also out of mats. They're going towards almost uneditable builds. They have to break it through. Double swinging with a pickaxe is going to be looking good.
I love
A little bit of ammo
monkeys.
picked up from the backside.
High
Mappy
ash.
going down,
I don't know
PKR
what that,
also
I don't know what that
Pink
says, bro.
is still raining absolutely bullet. Still, they haven't been challenged.
Oh, sorry,
and now
man,
we're
I don't
down
know
to
what that
5 teams. Pink and Anas, absolute control of the lobby right now. No one can even breathe, but the map gives people the chance to fight each other on low. It's gonna be that Speedway warehouse that everyone has a chance to just kind of wrap around, and armored walls pulled up by Vino and Joe to give them a little bit of a situation on the right side. They have a path, they're moving in, Bedmiss popped. This is so constrictive. They have no space to
And they're on the
move,
final
and it's an
zone.
entire diner they're gonna be rocking with on the right side. A person right in front of them, it's Default that gets bopped inside his own hometown. Vino now looking for the siphon. Does he get it? Yes, another player on his front side. He denies it too. Somehow Vino and Joe are alive. The final 2v2. Can they make this happen? It's amongst tyrants all the way on high ground who've had no interruptions so
Who's gonna
far.
win the game?
Big shot from Vino and the spray. 30
Vino
HP.
and Joe,
and he's
or the
still
other
finding
team?
a way to have a conversation, a voice inside this battle, but the
think it'll
spray
be the other
comes
two. It
down.
is.
There's no builds to hide
won?
behind. You can have the best aim in the world, but it's not going to stop Pink and Anas.
Pink and Anas.
Valiant effort done, Logan, by Veno and Joe. You know, there was chaos down there. 4 players just running around with no materials with their heads cut off. And Veno and Joe, they come out on top. Very well played game there from Dan. And Pink and Anas, you know, very good fundamentals. Again, taking height on that zone transition. A bit of a lucky zone pullback there for them, considering the material count. You see them finish this game on 0 materials. And that's a good victory royale there for Pink and Anas. And, you know, these guys are warriors in these finals lobbies. I love it.
Absolutely. It feels like, though, even for me, after watching that game, me and you might have to go outside. I can barely breathe. I thought I was getting sprayed by
It is
Pink
hot.
and Anas from high ground. Zeke, Levin, and Reese, are you feeling the heat? That was insane.
Well, shy wager for some of us who can't handle the heat. We got to get out of the kitchen, but nope, I'm here. I'm still hanging out. I am dying, but it is okay. I will hold on until my very last breath. My goodness. Guys, this felt like a semifinals round, but like a light version of that. So many of these different duos just executing exactly to perfection. Now, there was a few flubs, I will say, along the way, Reese and Levin, but overall, I'm very pleased to see, like, the seriousness from Qualifier 1 to Qualifier 2. You can tell duos here are like, no, 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 I want that top 8. I don't want to go to semifinals. I just want that seat on the bus.
Yeah, I love the way you went, you know, there were some flubs recent living, like, where the flubs, by the way. Like, you know, watch your tone, mate. Watch your tone. Look, I'll be real. This is why we talked in the first game about how, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Those are 2 teams in the final zone where they didn't have the best first games by any means, but they are 2 teams where the expectations for them were high. Pink and Anas, one of the best final have a great understanding. Execution can be off at times, don't get me wrong, but they got the right things done in that game, and hopefully now moving forward, they probably won't have that many teams contesting them up on high.
Fingers crossed, let's be real. But you never know. You got guys like Queasy who aren't here, who's just height.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why when I think of Queasy, I think of height. Yeah, that's it. But for Pink and Anas, like, they are game winners, like you mentioned. Out of the 3 cash cups they made the second round of, they won 2 games in each of them. So these guys are capable of winning matches. I'm slightly a bit more concerned about the games that they don't manage to, right?
I've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Games is roughly what
And
I
then-
saw. That kind of top 8, obviously with a couple other points. Absolutely fantastic, and it's already a ticket there.
I'm still seeing these duos, man. They're struggling with Storm Surge. I mean, you look
All right, we'll
back
watch
to
the
like
next game.
Benji and Mr. Savage, right, who then get gifted.
And then,
the
we'll
Storm
head into
Surge, the
solos.
duo just falling into their laps and just being eliminated. Loot transfer complete, but as we take a look at our overall standings, they're still holding down that #1 spot. Now, there was a little bit more of a gap coming into this game, but for right now, we're seeing these other duos, right? They're meeting them, right? They're looking to answer back and say, look, that's fine if you want a spot, but you better be aware we're going to join you up there.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things where I think we all know that their early game fundamentals are there. End game, yeah, they got stuff to work on, but mid game as well can be a bit dodgy. The reverse caster curse from Boot coming through on that one was pretty. Now is probably hoping they can get a bit of zone. Like, let's not deny, right? Of course, teams will prepare, teams will have great fundamentals, this, and that. But sometimes you need a bit of zone luck to go your way, and so they probably won't want many more south zones if we're just being real. But if they do, hopefully they can use that first game as sort of a learning moment on how to handle it.
Yeah, I think one of the things you mentioned was interesting. Benji manages to get caster curse RNG. I mean, like, how does that happen? Positive caster curse RNG. That's fantastic. Well, and a good team, obviously, we hadn't really picked on too much was Vino and Joe there. The absolute pop-off at the end, taking them up to second place in that match. We didn't see them in the top 10 there in the leaderboards. They're roughly in that kind of 11th to 20th place right now. And that's just because of that bad first game. If they can keep this up off spawn, like, this is going to be super strong for them.
Yeah, the way they maneuvered, you know, in this end game was really impressive. We talk about the chemistry, the synergy. This season, the things you can do with your teammate by your side, for them ready to fight for each other. I think when we talk about confidence, we talked about it at the top of the show. These guys are more confident than a lot of their opponents, and that really shows off here. Of course, they did just sort of get caught out at the end, Vino thinking he was safe from above, and so he went for the hill or whatever,
yeah, it was
and it just sort of didn't work out. But for the most part, man, I would not be worried about their first game being a bad one. This is one of the best teams in the lobby, and they've shown that over the qualifiers so far.
Thumbs up. We saw in the previous round, we mentioned digit eliminations. The third one on that was particularly interesting to me because they went down in 30th with 20 elims. So like, or sorry, 16 elims. So it was only like...
Oh, we got like 30 seconds left.
4 people in that game who weren't eliminated by them at that point. They were absolutely fragging out, and they've carried that confidence here into round 3 where they've obviously managed to pick that up in that second place there.
So good, man.
Right,
and
here we go.
Just think we have another 4 games out ahead of us. But you heard the buzz, which means we're getting ready for game number 3 of Qualifier 2. So for now, we're going back in with Shy Wager and Boom.
Can I get on top of the screen? Hold on. Nope. Dang.
Game number 3 is the game of opportunity. It is now your chance. You've had 2 games to make mistakes, and now it's the 3rd one. It is due. It is the time to do it all, Shayo. Who do you expect to come out on top this time?
For me, I mean, slight bias here and there. I'm liking this Benji Savage situation we got going on. If Pink's on height, they're on low ground. That'd be insane. I want to see Mustache Malibuka keep popping up. I want to see Lecce and Swilliam actually get their game started as well. But before that happens, Floki and Clement, this has to be a chance for them at redemption. Another Chonker Speedway breakdown and 4 different teams.
Yep, good landing here for Floki, and it looks like he jumps into the trash there for some reason. The Ranger AK versus the Stinger is not good enough. I mean, it was like fighting with no arms, basically. He had no chance in that situation, and that was an easy elimination.
You want to feel bad for those guys, but at the same time,
he seems to have disappeared off the map here.
I don't know.
I think Clement definitely having a little bit of issues on that drop, but it's all good. We'll get Lecce and Swilliam a little bit of the beef up, a little bit of the jump up as they get their fights and early games started. They still have a long ways to go. Teach up some art skill as well. This is the team I wanted to focus on for so long because I've been watching this team specifically in Cash Cups and whatnot. They've been some of the most consistent overall. When it comes to early game fighting, this is what they have the lockdown with. Look at art skill right here. 1v2 and still is able to deal a little bit of damage. T-Chips is there though. Is this just Harpoon? Okay, so he got to pick up the MK7.
He has the right hand peak though.
I'm trying to look at this one. I don't think his opponent knows he has an AR, right? But I don't even think he used it once.
No.
It's kind of crazy. That team, that duo is just so... Names completely, but they've put a little bit of a pedestal, a footprint, even if I could say, into EU this season so far. So I'm hyped to see them in this qual, hopefully making that top 8.
I mean, this is a season of opportunity, right? We've gone from, you know, an old chapter, an old map, to a completely new meta and a completely new map, right? And we're going to see some fresh faces. I mean, these guys aren't super unknown, right? We've seen them before, but, you know, I love to see, you know, some of the old guard, you know, being switched out with a Neil, and we're seeing some new names coming through as we move over towards Covert Canyon. Looks like Joe and Venno this time are contested. They do have height here, but they got to be careful because there's a player lurking, but Venno's awareness is just ridiculous. He gets a nice low shot through, goes back to Bapena now from behind. He's pinched, but you got to be a little bit careful here because Joe's down to low HP here.
Vino still wrapping a few shots. You were saying that Vino and Joe are contested. I feel like it's Pena being contested right now. I feel like they're the ones who they might not even drop here, but they're getting absolutely beat down. Pena outside this wall. He has the control as well on all pieces around him. Still has a little bit of trouble eliminating Vino completely. It took a little bit of time, which might let Joe get an angle here. Oh no. First shot predicted miss. The next one, 72, landed. That bullet finding its mark, and it's trouble now though. 1v1 and a little bit of that separation. No team really profits from this one.
Yeah, and Joe, you gotta do me justice here. I was hyping him up the game before, you know, one of the best fighters, one of the best creative players in the game, and now he's stuck in a 1v1 situation for his tournament life here. But Anas and Pink, they're here, and this is what I mean. Anas and Pink, they land on the mountain nearby, and Joe unfortunately goes down. And Anas and Pink, they're here to reap the rewards. I don't think the vault's been opened either yet, so Anas and Pink already have 10 chug splashes, and they're about to get a lot more this game.
They're still rolling in.
Oh my god.
Is this their usual route as well when it comes to Covert Cavern, right? Are they the ones actually chomping down on Vito and Joe? Looks like there might be slight differences in the way they're rolling in, but they're reaping all the rewards of the most powerful spot on the map.
Yeah, they don't usually jump into Covert Canyon. You know, they sort of stay on top. Usually the fights in Covert Canyon, they take a long time. You know, one of the teams are going to be getting the vault card and then trying to get that vault. The other team's going to be, you know, nearby. A lot of the time you split it up multiple directions. But Pink and Anas, you know, if there's an opportunity there, they're going to take it. You know, these guys, they know the spot in and out. They've done it before, and they have the entirety of Covert Cavern. You'd think they've already looted the vault with the loot that they have, but they're going to be getting even more this game, and they already have the surge set up as well. This is going to be a spicy one for Pink and Anas, Shayo.
Absolutely. They basically brought like their own lunch to the restaurant. These guys have like 2 meals to eat. It's kind of insane. Benji and Savage though, right? You're talking about being wealthy for the 5 or 6 completely. 89 points rolling in. The team behind them 78 in the form of T-Chips and Art Skill rolling through. I feel like the one good thing about Benji and Savage right now is every game that they end up winning and winning more, the second place team behind them is the one that has a little bit of that curse. They get pushed back a little bit, and no one's kind of able to catch up with them and keep it close. Gap can really widen over time.
Yeah, and it's also the benefit of having a pretty much set spawn plan, right? They know that there's no one else in Tilt. It's only them and Kinzo and Deceptos, I believe. So there's nothing really that can go wrong for them. Unless they fight Kinzo and Deceptos all of a sudden, there's no reason for a team to sort of go into Tilted unless they're planning on doing some, you know, some different things there. So they'll be able to be consistent, and, you know, they have no worries there, Shayo.
Absolutely. And Boop, you called Game 3 the game of opportunity. It looks like Kiko and Machi so far haven't had theirs reign in so far. I mean, these guys are good fighters. Kiko's one of the most insane players when it comes to box-to-box, pound-for-pound weight, you know, in these side close-range box fights and whatnot. What do they need to do to get back inside this competition?
I mean, they're doing what they need to do, right? They're gonna try to play aggressively, trying to get those early eliminations of spawn now. You know, they have teams that are nearby. I believe they were contested last game, but this game, is this the same team? It's very hard to tell, actually. It seems like it is, yeah, it is the same team from Joneses before, so this is not actually a push. This is them chasing them out of the spot. This is about alphaing Joneses here, Shayo. They do not want this team landing next to them yet again.
Absolutely not, but that fight is dwindling on for a little bit, so we'll tune in with it in just a second. Study and chat picks, I mean, we talk about Storm Surge this, you know, going for damage that. It's still kind of early on inside the game. You'll see people still fighting for their spot right now. It's pretty basic Fortnite so far. Until teams start to disengage, even at Sleepy Sound, usually the fast disengagement there. That's going to take a while to come through. And yeah, the Joneses, I mean, it's lasting so long and it's so loud that I see a third team on the minimap now kind of attracted towards this fight. And if you introduce a third party to this one, it's going to be absolutely chaotic.
Yeah, and it's sort of how you decide to play, right? There's 2 main parts of Joneses you can land on. You can land either on the north side or the south side. A lot of the time, they have one team that lands on that north side. They play a bit passive. They try to sneak up through the tree lines. But it seems like this time, you know, both these teams landing on different sides of Joneses. One of them trying to disengage with those Spider-Man gauntlets. And that's what happens. And yeah, another team now comes through yet again. And this is the tale we've seen of this whole final, basically. You know, a little bit too much over-aggression. You know, you can play a little bit emotional. That's fine. But you got to think about your own gameplay and your own finals in the end. You know, you do not want to be throwing your finals just playing a little bit too emotional, trying to chase the team out of it because you want to alpha them. But at this point, I think it's already too little too late. They're going to have to commit to this fight because the material count and the shield count here is not looking too hot.
Not at all. I'm watching some funniness from Mashi. He's just rolling in and just slowly crouch walking, going for an SMG spray.
Ooh, and
just absolutely through. Respecting the opposition. I like it. I like the emotion that comes in right now. And at Joneses, you'll see that third-party team completely disengaged. I think they also, maybe they were watching and seeing exactly how this fight was breaking down. It was a little bit too, you know, Jenga tower falling over gif for them. They just kind of left as fast as possible. I don't blame them at all.
Yep, and SC here back through the spawn fights near that orchard spot. Joe, I mean, he got eliminated by Anas and Pink. You know, that third party coming in, unfortunately for him. And that's their momentum gone in game number 3. Anas and Pink, I would love to see that loot at some point, because right now you think they got the vault, but so far they still have it. Pena managing to run out just a little bit, and also gets caught there with Anas and Pink in the box, and that's not what you want to have there from them. As we go back towards Chonker side, I believe, and there's still a lot of aggression going on here. Both teams still trying to fight it out, but Alex and X-Squeeze here trying to, you know, loot up the materials. You know, they do land nearby. Looks like they need to up the metal count here.
Absolutely. I mean, by the time the second zone's coming in at this point, every time I look at the mini map for a lot of teams, I would not see a big name on it at all.
These guys won the last match.
Or the name POI is fighting
and
some weird mid-game skerfuffles, right? But that's not happening right now. It seems like people are not getting out of their off-spawn fights fast enough.
Yeah, and you take a look at the player count as well. 74 people left alive. You know, this is sort of, like I mentioned, this is the it's a time to do things, right? So you have to make a difference. So people are trying out different things. They're trying to third party different spots. They're trying to get more eliminations early on, because you know, it must be very frustrating to be eliminated by Storm Surge every single game. So these guys, you know, they're making the decision, hey, we're just going to jump in and we're going to get a quick elimination on spawn so we don't have to worry about it later on. But this is yet again another South Zone. And looking at Pink and Anis's loadout there, you know, again, very, very good. But another storm fight coming through here with Stompy and Jew coming from that Bugle side, I believe. And then all the way into Sanctuary now, running to another team.
It'd help a whole lot more if it wasn't paused every 5 seconds, you know? There we go.
It's going to be tough. I don't think this zone's going to pull all the way towards the water side. It doesn't tend to do that, but you never know. So it could be lucky. And there you go. Storm Surge is going to pop up for the first time. 4 players need to be eliminated until that is gone. About 415 above Surge here for Iris, Yumi, and Older, our 3rd place team. So they're in a pretty good spot so far.
They are. When you talk about, you know, where the zone can't go, whenever it's on broadcast, it goes straight to the water, man. I'm telling you. It happens. It's like an affinity for it. I don't know why, but it happens. And it seems that wherever Benji and Savage go, flames follow. Another house that's being completely set apart on fire.
I think it's the same one, Shayo. I think this is Butterborn. For some reason, they have a vengeance against this Butterborn. But yet again, you know, take a look at the Storm Surge. I mean, this is almost the exact same zone, right? So again, Benji and Savage not really learning from the mistakes of last game. 37 below Surge here, and there's not going to be a team to jump into the box this time to help them out. As Benji and Savage here trying to trade some Surge, they do have a lot of minis. And for those of you that don't know, there is a pretty good strategy that a lot of these duos do. They basically, actually, never mind, because Savage is going to pop his big pot. Not really sure why he's doing that. Oh. Okay, there we go. So what a lot of teams tend to do is they try to stay on 150 HP and they try to use those minis over those big pots, right? Because big pots, they're not expendable. You only have 2 or 3 of them in total. Minis, you have 6 in total in your inventory, right? So you have a lot of your HP. You're basically trading your HP for Surge in this situation. But Savage not doing that. I guess he feels a little bit scared maybe for another team trying to push them. And I feel like this is deja vu. This game is, you know, the same zone. Benji and Savage below Surge yet again. Vortex here.
I like that zone.
Also below Surge. What am I saying here, Shayo?
I don't know if that's
the normal zone or not, but it then Vortexia and Castry have about 2 minutes to live until they get popped twice in the face. So hopefully it's not the same game for them so far. Benji and Savage though getting bullied, and we really didn't see this POV that much in the last game. We saw them rotating in and not having the worst of times, but it feels like Vortexia and Castry, they've learned from their past mistakes, have one of the best spots right now to bully an isolated team, and unfortunately it is Benji and Savage on the other side. 11 points for them, 89 for Benji. Savage are in first place and want to keep it going.
Yep, and this is again that little bit of psychology, right? 74 people left alive. Even if you're, only 50 above Surge, you're gonna think surely it's not gonna be us that's gonna be taken out here. And you never know, if one team gets taken out here, Benji and Savage, they could go below Surge. If the other team that's below Surge, the way that it works, it's all about thresholds, right? So you gotta be careful because one team that gets one extra tag, it could be you being below next. And with Benji only being on 95 effective HP, this is such a scary position to be here.
Absolutely, it's that domino effect completely, right? For all the teams. One team gets further up, everyone else comes toppling down.
You want to make sure. And then he got hit with Storm
that
Surge.
flipping right now.
Sucks.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
I mean, look at this. Okay, I gotta be careful here because I'm used to this casting thing shower, so I didn't realize I had such an effect on how zones pull.
I'm telling you,
and this zone has pulled straight towards the water of Chunker's side. So, worst case scenario for a lot of these teams. It's gonna be a painful zone for these players, but it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, I'll be honest.
Yep.
Absolutely is. Unfortunately, too, this is one thing I've noticed over casting a little bit and watching these zones move. When you're down on Surge and the zone kind of moves even more so where all teams are, it becomes a statue situation. You're not able to watch anyone else kind of move out of their boxes. You're in so much more trouble than any other situation if you're bad on Surge. You just saw it with Kaizen right there. There's nowhere to go. One team ends up hearing your shield get cracked, roll in, pops out. You do not want to be low on Surge when it's kind of a statue type zone. You want, when things kind of get, constricted, you see it coming, to be proactive, get on your fight fast. I think we saw it from the first game. I forget the duo that did it, but it was done to one of the teams that were a little bit higher on elevation. They just straight up pushed in. It might have been Pan that we saw get right inside the box, I believe, beam up. Yeah. You want to be able to be proactive and not wait for that zone to close. Right now, it's all in for a lot of teams. Jock, Skyzoo, that push inside, wait for this fight because they need the damage. They're in that statue situation. No other team is going to allow them to deal damage to them at all. They're just going to be hiding, turtled up inside their boxes. And now it's going to be unfortunate completely. Another situation where Surge is the demise of Jock and Skyzoo.
And I think these guys got their GPS settings installed incorrectly because they are on the wrong side of Storm here. Late to this rotate. Look how many players there are on this edge. This can be a tough one. They're gonna have to. He had a little bit of mind games there too. He showed himself to the left, went right to the right side, and he's a bit of a magician act here from Savage. Trying to confuse an opponent. Unfortunately, though, gonna get sprayed from below here. Needs to be a little bit careful. And now is the time for them to just be careful, just to wait. It is mellow time. You do not want to be editing when there's so many players around you. You want to wait for these metal walls to fully build out before you make any sort of moves. And I don't want to call the zone, but it is going to actually pull towards the right side. So away from the water, thankfully for them. And we are going to be saved here from another water zone here, Shayo.
Question is, are there any pads for Savage and Benji to maybe bounce on and have
make
an
sure
easier way inside zone? I see that Anas has one inside his inventory.
Like the stream.
If that's the case, and once again, we're in the desert.
Because after this, we're going to get into solos.
And Pink, they stayed up top. They let that family lineage kind of rock from zone to zone to zone to zone. No one could really dethrone them. And they're looking to do it again. An armored wall available for Anas as well. So if anyone tries to go for that chop down, that spray all the way upwards, he has that extra layer of protection and another beam inside the box. So not only looking for height right now, Boop, they're aware of every single edit going on around them.
Yeah, so what they're basically doing in this position is trying to hold as many people away from them on this high ground, right? Because if you shoot at players that are trying to rotate near you, they're not going to box it below. They're going to try to rotate away from you in this position. So what that's basically going to do, it's going to set you up to have less of a chance of someone sneaking up towards high ground if you do pull half and half here. And I want to talk about the inventory just a little bit. They had 12 Chunks Passion. I believe they have 6 more in the inventory of Anas there. So what the... what these guys love to do sometimes, they like to, sneak up below high ground and try to take it away that time. So maybe if I get a few fortunate zone pulls, you might see them make a storm play with those chug splashes because they're very variable. They can heal you up when you're in trouble, but they also are there for those big IQ plays on high ground.
Absolutely. Right now, you might have to toss IQ straight into the mid. Savage and Benji have to just use their feet. Stop thinking, start moving. Spice is also in effect, so they move at double the speed. Question is, though, if you do end up going the wrong way, that's double the mistake that happens as well. You're talking about the right, left, the elasticity, the bounce back of this team. They're really making the move, showing themselves off to the right, sticking to the left. I like that call out, Boot, but now they're stuck between walls. They can't really edit through, and it's metal after the fact as well. The peppers are not going to make your pickaxes swing faster. You have to just keep going, and they're getting focused still.
And that's the least of the issues here. 250 below Surge. I don't know where they're going to jump in on. I mean, there's going to be a team nearby, but by the time they're actually into zone, they're going to lose all of their material count. They barely have any hard mats. 160 metal.
Oh, no.
There's a team behind this wall. They don't know. Maybe Savage does know. Oh, and he gets taken out there by a team hiding. He did redirect the Savage.
They're done.
Benji is 2v1 now.
What?
Still alive somehow. 9
Oh, he should have shotgun
7
right there.
builds now. He needs to be careful, but I mean, it was all done. It was a valiant effort for Benji, but he's still alive actually. Okay, he's sneaking up. He's being covert, and this player is on low HP. He does get the wall behind him. I don't think this player realizes. Sneaks back through. And does he know it? But Surge, he does know he's there. And Surge is going to take him out. 24 HP and he cannot heal up anymore. Surge is going to be the one who takes up Benji and finally somehow survived the absolute anarchy there of multiple players in this box. But there's one thing that is true, and Storm Surge eliminates all.
Absolutely. You can't build past it. You can't hide away from it. And he was out of mats too. Unfortunate. Art skill, that POV we just dipped towards. That's going to be second place looking to take that gold beam and add it towards their inventory to have that luxury. There is no first place team alive right now who can take that title.
Yeah, and if you look at the half-nap zone here, zone actually does pull, I believe, on top of Pink and Ana. So all of that setup they did prior to set up the high gun is probably now going to be good for them. I'm not sure what layer they're on. I think they're close by, but like I said, you do not need to go crazy on high gun in this half-nap, Shayo.
Absolutely not. 68 points right now. They basically want to clasp all the way up towards 90. If they get 100 in this game, that'll be absolute huge. But that means they have to survive the entire time. If we could just stay on this POV, I want to see exactly how they break it down. They will be going for right here. They have 2 different pads as well. Can they hold on to being the finessers of this zone entirely? 23 till we see where exactly moves on. Like the fact that they're staying low key
and
right now.
are gonna
yeah,
win
and don't expect them to go for high gun initially, right? They're not going to be going to high gun in first moving. If they do that, I'll sound very stupid, but I don't think they should do that, right? They both have multiple launch pads in their inventory.
Why should they not?
So basically, the reason why you don't want to do it is because you want to use those launch pads effectively, right? If you have 3 launch pads in your inventory, you're going for high gun into first moving, you're basically using materials that you would have saved with those launch pads. Exactly. And with zone pulling far away from them, yet again, they're going to have more time to launch pad, and that's going to be good for them here, Shayo.
Absolutely. Irizumi, very same position. Might not have multiple launch pads, but they have 80 points so far. They might not be controlling high ground completely like Pink and Anas, but they've been consistent over their last 2 games. Now in the 3rd game, they have a spot to even steal that lead from Benji and Savage, and it's about 12 points ahead of Pink and Anas from what we saw before. Irizumi even pops that spicy pepper, a little bit of a speedier glide. We'll see exactly how this looks down. They've checked up top, and what a way to pad past all those builds on a single floor, blocking him through there. High and mighty inside the sky. They go straight for that forward position. We see so many teams in good spots all the way towards that final zone make this move first. And Irizumi and leader, they're not all the way towards the low ground. They have no people next to them either. This is such a good spot.
Yeah, they're in a very good spot. They do have those peppers popped as well. And then we go back towards Pink and Anas here. See, they're holding out. And like I mentioned, they're going to launch pad very slowly towards the front side. Launch pad yet again. And now they're going to evaluate. Is this a good time to take high ground? And it doesn't look like it because there's a lot of people pretty much set up yet. So they can wait until that second moving. And then if the second moving pulls north, for example, then they're going to have a lot of materials because they're able to save those materials with those launch pads. So I'm hoping to see a north zone pull because it's going to be a launch pad towards height in the second moving zone here, Shayo.
Absolutely. De facto first place right now will be Art Skill and T-Chips up inside the box. They're desperate to find any damage. 79 below. They might be in first. They might have 93 points, but that 95 below threshold is the number that matters, and they changed it up. Rewrite their destinies. 360 above, or 63 above, excuse me. They're still trying to find some type of damage. Might get close to 360 with the way this damage is going right now. They dodged the first few strikes of Surge as well as Stompy finds a few more in the feed. Chulex down. Mustache taken out by Endless and Squeeze. They're side by side, but Stompy going all the way up towards the skies. Nailu has to be forced to drop down. 500 and forward as well. They stop another height take too. The denial is insane.
And you gotta be careful. If you're fighting on the backside of zone, there's gonna be another team towards the front side. They're trying to take it away from you. Juice smartly here, Spider-Man towards the front side, but they get chopped down. And, oh, they do. Solo, and here comes Pink. Like I mentioned, if you're fighting on the backside of zone, you're going to be using a lot of materials, and Pink's been able to save it this entire game here, Shayo. 26 builds left, and they have it into this 8th moving zone.
Oh, they got Stompy, and Pink is still active and alive. The aim electric, the bullet's magnetic, and they're not missing. This is just insane. Anas is there too at the very front of it, applying the pressure that Pink is making as well. He's making sure not a single edit can be made upwards. Mappy's kind of trapped. Seti's right below him too, so they're being forced into a pinch as well. T-Chips though, still in first, taking down Link. Finally, Endelix takes him down, so that might be the first place team not active either. They were close to 95, 98 points. It's 80 so far, but Seti too is all the pinch, and this is where trouble starts.
And I think we're going to get 2 in a row here from Pink and Anas because the zone pulls back over old builds, right? So they have, even though the material count is very, very limited, really going to pressure them because they're all going to go through Shayo.
Absolutely. Seti, though, this is going to be another clutch situation. We saw Janus do it before, but he's out of mats and unfortunately goes down towards the front side. It'll be Endelix next squeeze that picked that one up. 26th place for them overall, but they're looking really good. And Austin Pink, again, it's like just walking a dog or something. It's just so simple for them. Every time, business as usual. When it's the desert, these guys make sure everyone else is just low and dry. Pink, once again, another launch forward, and he secures another spot of the high ground.
And it is a game of numbers, right? Even the small launch pad there, you know, it's only 2 to 3 blocks, but every single build counts here. When you go into that final moving zone, that one build might just save them, as you have 7 duels left alive, Shayo.
Absolutely. Flixie now, he's going to be in trouble. You're talking about every single build. They only have about 6 left. Pick up a few more on the left side. Armored Wall buys them a little bit of time, but it's time that's going to be translated into money, into points right now. The longer you stay alive, the more placement you're going to get, and they're trying to milk every single second so far. Up top is where the roof comes crashing. Dodging even more sprays. This man has like a shield bubble around him. There's no way he's taking no damage from all this pressure. Right now he's looking down, lands another big shot. Surge doesn't matter right now. It's only about getting these eliminations and staying alive ahead. Inside this feed, a big one from the heavy shotgun slug. It comes straight in. No, it's a pump, but it doesn't even matter. The damage is true. Nailu still alive right now. The Siptos also going to give you picks, and they're going all the way up for high ground. 3 builds left. It's not going to be enough. He doesn't have the mat to actually go all the way up towards the top, but he has a big shot on the left side. That's an interruption. Flixie's insane. Pink is down. The Emperor is usurped. The med mist might be enough to keep him alive inside the car. The tech is nuts, but no. Driving is not going to be allowed today. Anas saves it for now. A 1v1, no materials, a pump shot. It's do or get done, and he does it. Anas, back to back. The Pharaohs rise. That is insane.
Oh my goodness, Anas, they're absolutely electric. Kept this cool. I think that player bounced on top of a tire stack or something because Anas kind of lost him for a second there, but he did finally find that tracking, and this is just a fortunate zone there for them again, right? Everyone on low gun, every material, nobody has bats, and Anas here keeping us cool, you know, playing it safely, even tanking a little bit of storm, is able to find the Siptos there for free, and wow, I think that's 2 in a row there for Pink and Anas. I mean, the setup was all there to be seen from the start, right? They got those early eliminations in Tova Canyon, they got the vault, they had multiple chug splashes, and that was just free. GG's.
Absolutely crucial. I think it was one more shot and would have dwindled away. So,
dude, Anas and Pink, dude, they're crazy. I don't understand. They started going off there at the end. Like, I don't remember getting anything. I like this blue one. This loading screen's sick, dude. No, let me turn that off. I'm gonna go greasy. Oh, you're so stupid, dude. It's okay, buddy. Oh, took him out. I don't even see it yet. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get a car and go after that. Some no shotguns. Here they are. Now we're gonna go get the treasure chest, and then this is why I don't have my driver's license. Here it is. Was that worth it? Probably not. Yeah, if you want to. Dude, I just found the best chest spawn over here, dude. Look at this. 3 chests. All right here. Got one thing that I'm actually probably gonna use. Oh, I hit 5,000 gold. Let's go.